Unconference is to connect together. Maybe then we throw a check-in round, and so everybody could say a few words about like about yourself and in general how you feel. I can start and pass further. Like I just landed in Asia in from easy. I just got used to the Latin America time zones, and I'm again switching and like my head's like, what's going on? But otherwise, it's good. It's really like non-stop and not ending summer for me this year. Like following the sun. Yeah, that's my situation. And passing to Fred.
Yeah, I'm Fred. Somebody of you maybe knows me already. I'm in Amsterdam in my house, wandering a little bit around, trying to find something to do. So I'm very happy to join this group because at the moment it seems like I'm unemployed. So,
Would you mind passing it to whoever I think
oh,
should go
sure. I
next?
pass it to, yeah, uh, don't know the names, sorry. CRTPMPPT, maybe?
We can hear you. You're on mute.
Hi. Hi guys, I'm Frederick from Japan. Right now I'm based in Taiwan, and yeah, I'm looking for the next thing as well. Currently unemployed and looking around at the existing DAOs that I've been involved with and seeing what is going on. So really curious to hear about this Trusted Seed Unconference. And I'll pass it on to Freshell.
Hi everyone, nice to be here. I'm Rochelle and I'm from General Magic, and yeah, I'm interested in knowing more about the Trusted Seed and Conference. I'll pass it to Mike.
All right. Hey guys, I'm Mike, based in New York. Um, I always try to make the trusted seed meetings, but I almost never can because of work and other things. So I can try to make a special time today. Just really curious about that conference and generally public goods, helping out, stuff like that. I'm gonna pass it to Specs.
Hey, my name's Specs, located in Portland, Oregon, United States. So it's pretty early in the morning here. Just excited to kind of hear about what the plan is for this, and yeah, I'll pass it on to Mike.
I think Mike went, but we have Haxelax.
Sure, yeah, I'm Henrik. I'm based in Copenhagen, in Denmark. I'm doing a PhD in decentralized finance, looking very much into DAOs and also how to fix traditional finance, where I've spent most of my life as a consultant. I'm very excited because I've been invited to the Singapore FinTech Festival. Everything paid by a sponsor, so that's nice. I get to travel again. And I'm really interested in an unconference as a concept, and of course, in the common stack context, what that might mean.
Nice, and we have
Pass it
beautiful Ivy
to
Guinea
Ivy.
from our team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ivy, would you like to go first?
Hi everyone, I'm Ivy. I'm based in the Philippines, and I'm glad that there are some people in this call that are in the same time zone as mine. And I'm from Common Stack also. I've been with Common Stack for 2 years. Actually, tomorrow is my work anniversary at Common Stack, and I'm actually excited about this conference because I think I haven't interacted with a lot of people in the community, so I think this is an opportunity to collaborate with more people and meet new people in this space. So thanks everyone for coming, and I pass it to Yine.
Hey, welcome everyone here. Yenesi. I'm from Venezuela and one of the trusted seed gardeners. So you can see me around sending messages and welcoming people to our programs. So yeah, that's me. I hope we can answer all your questions today. I think specs is the last one. I think so. I'm not sure, but I'm
No,
sending
specs,
you
man.
the love. Go ahead.
Here's my friend Vita Kirchen. Vita. Hey.
But the specs is first, right?
Yeah, please. Oh, sorry.
Already
Yeah, I
went.
just
Yeah.
thought. Please go.
Already went. Yeah.
Okay, so is it me? Is it my turn, right? Okay, so hi everybody, I'm Victor. I'm from Ukraine, but currently located in Slovenia. Due to the war, I took my family and I came here. And currently I'm unemployed, but I've been working like 1,000 years of product management. My most of roles are related to creating IT products, applications, websites, marketplaces. But recently I opened for myself no code and low code world, and also I'm looking into Web3 stuff. I've never been here, and and also another thing which also bring me here is project which I might be involved in. It's about planting trees all over the world to make our environmental future better than it is currently. So I've seen in the agenda something similar to this, and I'm really interested to connecting new people. And I'll see all of you. Thanks, Max, for gathering all of us. Thank you.
Thanks. And Wendy, we're doing just a small check-in, like
Sure.
a few words about.
Small check-in is different from a few words about it myself. Let me say this. Small check-in, I'm in Miami at my mom's 93rd birthday celebration for me and my siblings and my mom. I live in London, so this is a temporary setting. Well, this is a temporary setting. So I have a deep history in deep experience in like big companies, advertising, sales, marketing, operations, corporate client relationship building, and sales. I've been in the Web3 space for 2 years, for the most part working with a little startup called Doing Good, which is seeking, not deliberately or maybe, seeking to disrupt the social impact space, the nonprofit space. And just like you were describing with trees, we bring on a lot of projects that are Sustainable Development Goal related. And the idea is to sell NFTs, and a portion of the proceeds go directly to social impact or climate impact projects. So Doing Good, I'm not saying it's the only one on the planet, but it's one of the few that I actually don't know of another one where the protocol is that from the sale of an NFT, funds go directly to the creator and directly on chain, visibly, to the nonprofit or project. My space is kind of around. I have 15 years of leadership development, working in with those big companies. I think that's enough.
Thanks, Randy. So I propose to go like first. I'll do a small update and like a presentation of recent ideas, because every day the understanding of this Unconference is evolving, and I hope it would be like up to 10 minutes, and then we could have a laid back conversation, just answering the question. And again, in the fashion of like co-creation, it's not I try to minimize my personal impact and maximize the impact of you in this idea. So I hope we can share ideas together. So before we start, maybe any clarifications or questions? Okay, so I'll start sharing my screen, and please let me know if you see it.
Yeah.
Okay, so first of all, like Trusted Seed, I know some people know Trusted Seed well, or are like members of Trusted Seed, but what is Trusted Seed? Like in general, when I entered the space, the one of the coolest organization that did like stuff in like intersection of Web3 and like public goods, or in general, like I love the name doing good is also like Web3 for good ideas, was like Give It and Common Stack and some other like token engineering commons. They were mostly like this crowd again, like around Group Green and the friends and some like other prominent leaders. But the space is so big, you know, like when we try to establish new approaches to funding public goods, there's so many components needed to be done, like not just like smart contracts or tokenomics or that set ideas, but also one of the things recognized is that for those tools to work, or like in the early stage of DAOs, you need some people who know how to operate in it, you know, who were like already like had some experience and thus can guide or lead or educate or navigate, you know, early stage like DAOs, especially in the public goods sector, for their success. And that's what Trusted Seeds tries to be. It's like a community of mostly we call it stewards or angels, people who we would like to have a public list of, you know, like at least their addresses and so on. So then they can be invited to like via like governance token or some other mechanism. There's like some initial like people who would be great in establishing nice governance and nice processes and culture in the DAOs we would like to see. So there's not just technical, but also cultural component, and that's what we're working on. So the Trusted Seed as an organization exists since the Token Engineering Commons. It was first used is like when Token Engineers launched their bonding curve. It's like a mechanism for funding, and it kind of like works as like the sooner you like join, the better the price you will get, and the price is kind of growing over like time. But you also would like people that won't sell token at the first like moment they can, and so on. So that's where we made this initial collection of people, but then we'll thinking like how it will evolve, you know, and what we can do as the community together. So we advanced on our mission. And one of the ideas came from this event, like called. There's also a community called Crypto Commons, and they hold like few times a year these sessions in Austrian Alps. And this was like I was on conferences before, but that recent experience reiterated the joy and you know value of such format. It was in the offline space, and for a week we all like there were like researchers, academics, founders, trade union figures, and so on, like discussing about this future of crypto commons. And one of the sessions I tried to bring was like this foresight, this visioning exercise, so we would understand what shapes our future. And we discussed what are the trends in like local business, local communities, in the governments, in the team, in the like our circles and so on. And it seems that two major trends that will influence our future, as people like kind of voted and thought, were like two factors. Is like our ability to self-organize, you know, on like being in chaos. Like as like I think most of us like in DAOs in this space, they sometimes experience this chaos, yeah, and sometimes we experience self-organization. So like the first division is like, would there be more chaos or more self-organization? And then the other thing is like, okay, we can be very well self-organized, but would it scale like between the hubs or between the ecosystems, or would they be like would they have tendency to close inside themselves? So like this was like the other factor, and that led us to these different future scenarios. Like of course, like if we don't connect and it's all chaos, it's for sure like dystopia. It's like how it is now, right? Like well, it leads to ecological crisis, like social unrest and so on. If we like connect a lot in the fashion of like business as usual and so on, we kind of arrived into this jungle situation where the strongest survive. Some people by coincidence they succeed, but it's not guaranteed for most people. And then for the uh, vision of like a nice self-organization but not connecting a lot, we called it like isolation or a cult. And you could experience those kind of features from our game or registration you saw, like that the ideas came from this session. But still some people, like we thought like everybody would choose this kind of Protopia, the best desired vision, but some people also chose like cult isolation as like what they feel about, how they feel, like maybe due to the like uh, some disconnect or some cultural aspects. But of course, our most desirable future is Protopia. I just learned this word in September. I didn't know that such thing exists. It's like not utopia, which is like something that we can't build. It's like unicorns or whatever, like magical. But it's what we know about Protopia. It's like anti-fragile. It's incremental improvement. It's local abundance. I like for example, that we have people from US to like Taiwan time zones. That's one of the challenges of this new global or local economies, that we're trying to breach and gap. Just to be sure, you hear me right all this time. Okay. So yeah, if you are familiar with Burning Man, the place where Burning Man is held is called Playa. It's like basically where the land is just divided into small pieces, and they are kind of like different camps are like set up into these pieces of land, and then for like a brief moment there's like a city appears in the middle of the desert for like hundreds thousands of people, that create beautiful, things, installations, different experience, whatever you like in there. So that was used like as a metaphor to how we like if we do something like that, then we're like approaching Protopia, and this is like a always continuing direction. We will just see step by step, like try to improve in smallest things, like now, like connect a bit more people, learn a new tool, and then build this fly over time. This leads us to this Unconference format, which is again like I experienced this mostly in the offline space where people just connect, and there's like also special magic, in chemistry when you're in the one space. But then we can't rely on that in our context, where even like Victor is like Ukrainian. We used to see each other like in the Kiev meetups or whatever, but then we're dispersed now all around the world, and we need to learn how to coordinate in this new environment. So our intention was that let's bring people, from these spaces. Let's take somebody from, Wikipedia or United Nations. Let's connect this regenerative finance people, because this is one of our ideas, like to build not just sustainable but regenerative, public goods and services and funding. Let's take prominent and important communities, academia, and of course, where we can go without developers and service providers. So we try to kind of get people from all those different directions together here. And also when we analyzed, who's in Trusted Seed now, like currently, we kind of saw like two basic scales would be like, okay, there are people like we feel like first of all have either funds abundance or time abundance, and there are like some people who would like start their like day with thinking, oh, what impact I will do with the world, some purpose driven people, and some people who are like, okay, I need to get some specific business achievement, like we call it like yield driven or purpose driven. So out of this kind of divide, we see that we have different personas with different motivations. So we have like angels who are like purpose driven, and they are kind of maybe like we call it persona of grief, for example, right? The person who's like ready to support others at this stage, or like they could be stewards, the people who are more like specialists, who are like maybe community managers or HRs for their communities. There might be even like some people don't maybe think about them as stewards. Still, like I think 70% of people voted like or like stated that they would like to build Protopia or like are in Protopia world, and like around again 70% are stewards of some ecosystems. But the major, I think, for both of these types, so like, and we're trying to aim them first of all, is that these are the people who connect their own success with the success of the group. Like even there's a success of a planet, like or our like civilization or whatever. So we feel that those people will help to bring this mission of Protopia, and help defining the space for public goods and Web3. But we also can't exclude and shouldn't exclude the people, like we call it megalodons. It's like businesses that need like have some business objectives, but they still can contribute, and they like there are different value streams here, like for example in hiring or sharing your like projects or whatever to the audience, because also this we will intend to have like 100 like ecosystems represented here through these people, so it's also a great opportunity. Or freelancers who maybe like need to like looking for the job or something, but they through an extension of the skills and through learning they can, in the end we hope there would be more angels created like both successful and also purpose driven. So one of the most like shared question was, so what happens when, like we specifically wanted, like we look till the end of the year in our planning. So we have a bit less than 2.5 months now. Like we started in October mostly with this stage of invitations and engagement, that maybe when you heard about us, we still would have some people joining us through this process, but that was like when we published this page and started this registration. But now, like we are in the phase, like this is the week and the next week, the phase where we will define the specific approach to. So when can we meet, like, or how often we would like to meet? Would it be like a one big, like event, or would it be like a series of small events? What would be like the tracks or the platforms and so on? So we're now exactly at this moment of definition, and it wouldn't make sense without, initially collecting the core. Now, after we collect the core, and I show a bit later like what ideas we have, it's much clear what people are striving for, because of course one of the ideas of the Unconference is that like we created for ourselves, there's no pre-planned like agenda or something. Like we just, our main design is to make this right invitation, and then after this invitation everything else happens for us as a self-organized group. So I think that the main content or sessions will be held over November, maybe start of December, and by mid of December we also like hope that we will wrap up this all of this knowledge base we built together, so we kind of do some workshops, presentations, maybe some reading sessions, like big variety of formats. But in the end, we would like to also create it as a public good and open up it to other people who couldn't join, like at specific sessions or in general, so they can learn with us as well. And there would be like either some wiki page or book, I don't know, but yeah, this is about the content compilation. And Unconference format is like when it's held offline, usually we have this board, and like how it happened in Austria, for example, like we on the very first day there was this meeting where everybody could take the piece of paper and say like, I want to do this, and this is also what we asked in our registration form. It doesn't mean that you specifically would held the session, but that's what you want to discuss, or maybe some idea of what you like to bring, and then every day we started with okay, so what do we want to do today? And over the days, like we didn't need to use all of the ideas. Some people kind of had more updated relevant things every time, or they reframe their like sessions or whatever. But in the general, it was kind of like the agenda was created just at the morning of each day, and we could see okay, this is what we want to do today, and let's distribute it across different rooms. In our case, as we do it online, and we can have some time, it's might be a bit more distributed in time, but still the idea is the same. We will have some shared calendar, or maybe one thing I'm now thinking about is to do some MVP, like 5 hour session together in start of November, just to kick off, and experience the whole kind of more holistic way, like for where we would have the whole kind of day of content before we split it into more distributed. But this is a bit how it usually happens. So, and the engagement in this kind of format is much higher, because usually on the conferences, okay, it depends, but the conference I visit, most people are like just talking in the behind the scenes somewhere, in the networking zone and so on, because in general the presentations are recorded, and they're usually promotional in any case, so it doesn't make sense to to use your precious time to to stick too much into them. Like, you would rather go to the specific person that can help you. So that's one of the improvements we can get. And today I kind of clustered a bit, like in our registration form, there was like a question about what is your specific challenge and what is your, session proposal. So I can go a bit more into like details here. But in general, the challenges, like the common topics were like self-management and well-being. People like had really personal, being present in the moment, having time to my ideas, overcoming like some mental issues and so on. And this is really important, was also like in our ideas of this conference, is that we like, as lots of stewards are here, we are the people who should be always positive, energetic, because this is like what we bring to the group. Maybe, like, again, it depends on the culture, but it's sometimes we need the support of peers, to hear that other people like us have the same problems, and support each other in order to really see what we're going through, as we're working a lot with people, for example, and it's not always easy. And yeah, there were a lot of things mentioned about the skills development, where do I grow, what skills would be needed, catch up, put my talent to best use. There was like networking. It was mostly connected about making my common success in the way of funding or recruiting, or finding job. So I think it was mostly through this personal connection where I can either learn about some opportunities or already see that some match. And so, of course, like impact of public good was like lots of people work on, like how to save ecology, how to eradicate poverty, and yeah, making life beautiful, I could say. And also a bunch of challenges were connected with specific, tech or products like digital identity, or like I have this transport vouchers project or regenerative finance bootcamp. Or so it was more connected to the specific project they work on, and then also maybe find some contributors or feedback to that. So that were the common topics in challenges. And in proposals, we also have, like, you can see how many like sessions there are. I believe it can be up to, I don't know, 100 hours of content, if we do all of the sessions. Again, we should always kind of like start fresh, like, of course, it's like not easy to like say, okay, commit to 100 hours in the next, like even 2 months, probably would be like go with what you select. But it was really great to see the engagement that people wanted to bring some stuff, and it was about like for the skills, I think, and in general well-being. There was like a lot of different engagement mechanics, games, even the mental models, psychological support things. So there were proposals like that. But then there were like a lot of, I would say, open-ended, panel kind of type, not like a quick solution, but rather like something long-termish about the future, about the like bootstrapping by regions and so on. And also some sessions were like super specific to, let's do this workshop or let's do this, practice. So that's give me a feeling about what our unconference would be, even more clear. As I said, every time, like it's more and more clear, like what people bring, and like again, we would have some agility in selecting what we're going to go with, but that's the ideas we got so far. So final note on this presentation is that, we would like to, as it is a public good, we would like to make it as accessible as possible. Of course, like we have a team of 4 people working on this at least, in supporting, and we'll try to engage more and support more people with this work. But so far, like due to our sponsors, Give It, Common Stack, and General Magic, we could at least kickstart. We still need more sponsors with like maybe 1/3 covered with our budget. But we would like to make it open participation, even like I think it somehow should be feel and see what you how you value it. It's really hard to like some connections are bringing, for me at least, in super long term nice impact and results, and it's really hard to say like if it's $20 or whatever. So we call it like open participation, open price, and trying to one of the ideas that, of course, like we can't practice everywhere, but here we can trust this practice this gift economy, and just like it's not just always the like organizers, so to say. It's like between all of us, like every proposal is like a gift to the community, to all of us. So I hope we can keep the spirit of gifting again in the fashion of the Burning Man, where your money is no good. It's like about like exchange of emotions, exchange of knowledge, and so on. So this was my quick presentation. I hope I haven't bored you with this. Do you have what questions felt unanswered? Yeah. Go.
So not so much unanswered, but and this may be my pre-conference, pre-preparatory, compulsive nature to plan. So if it goes too far, you just say like, yeah, we don't do that. What I'm trying to figure out is like, how do we? You said there is over 100 hours of programming, all of which could be accommodated. I'm just wondering if we can. Do we? Is it our job in advance? Like, what? I guess the question is, what is the minimum viable advance work to agree upon or get done? And do we go so far as to take the list as you have the problems to be solved, the proposed solutions? Do we bring those full lists to the conference plus the third stream of, I'm just giving it a name for our purposes here, the sort of philosophy, vision setting, perspective setting, sense making, the open conversations that allow us to talk about what should the future look like, and what are the dependencies. So do we have those? Let's make believe you just told us about 3 streams: problem to solve, proposals, some of which may address the problems to solve, and then the sort of philosophical visioning discussions. How much do we need to or want to do in advance?
For example, the Miro bot I shared, it's kind of open and editable for everybody. So it's kind of, like on the one hand, it's super open-ended and we can go as we want. Like the maybe commitment we would like again is we can extend it if we need, but like in general, just in time frame, we're thinking about just by the end of the year. And probably this second part of December would be crazy, because people would have this end of year planning, like celebration and so on. So like maybe caps by the mid of December, and like whatever we would like to do at this time, we can do. For example, in our case with this Austrian Unconference, there are some events that are like, I need half an hour for my session here, like, and we'll have specific times for that. But also, like, some people came with, I would like to play a game with you. I have this like trust tokens, just like small cards, and you have every day 3 cards. You feel free to give it to whatever people you would like to. You can write something on them or not, and we'll just make some learnings from it, from that experience. And that was like kind of ongoing thing through the whole like time, and in our case it can be also something not capped into half an hour. It can be like a whole experience. So that's why I'm trying to avoid, like specifying, okay, we will have just this and nothing more. But on the other hand, I believe like for many people they're just like, so what do I do, when should I like book time or something? Like it's of course a question that we would like to get to some specifics. So today I have this advisory call with the person who probably like join us and help us. It's Kalia, and she has like the conference it was made under this open space technology methodology, long term, like it's existing for 30 years, how these things organized. Whatever you see, it's mostly organized under this technology. So she recommended, hey, let's try like do like as they already like in COVID, many conferences or unconferences needed to switch to this online format. They said like we experiment a lot with it, and what we got is like also people from all around the world, so we can set up at least 5 hours, like where we can kick it off, like with initially first like 30 to 60 minutes just to, meet and build agenda. Then we have sessions, and in the end we have a small recap. So I think we can have this kind of MVP like session somewhere start of November to kick it off. And but again, that won't end there. It will probably can be extra sessions afterwards. It can be like reading clubs. It can be games like that. But for this more specific time and place to speak and start it, I would expect something like that. But always open to your proposals. Wendy, does it answer your question?
Somewhat. And what I mean by that is, again, what I heard, I didn't even list it correctly. What I heard was problems to be solved, proposals. I guess there should be wild cards like, hey, I want to play a trust game with you, or I want to make an instant team and see what happens when I drop X into it, and then kind of futurizing. What I wonder is like, what responsibilities do we have? Like, is the minimum we have to produce just a statement of the goal of the unconference? Like, we want stewards to feel equipped to XYZ. Or we want DAOs to be, actively led so that ABC.
Yeah, right. So whatever we have so far in terms of ideas and this clustering of proposals and challenges, it's in this crazy world, it's like changing super frequently. So today we can say safely that by today we felt like that. But in 2 weeks, first of all, the composition of people who will join may be a bit different, and also the feel of the now would be a bit different. So that's why it's kind of helping us to understand what what these directions you mentioned. I feel pretty connected with them. Though what would happen probably is like when we meet again, some new understanding will emerge. That's why I'm like, we will have for sure some tracks, so to say, in different rooms, but we like defined it at the moment of the beginning. Yeah, right.
I was this summer in June in a very nice setting at Documenta 15, in which the organization mostly of the whole Documenta, is this big exhibition of contemporary art. It was organized by collectives in a collective way from a group called the Ruang Grupa from Indonesia. And well, it was really, really interesting, especially for me being at the intersection between, hacking, Web3, and arts. Was very interesting. And one of the things that I really loved there was the figure of the harvester, the ones that come or eventually are there as spectator and then give you feedback, like somebody that harvests and choose what kind of fruit to pick. And they had created the format for it. I thought was very interesting also because it was simplifying a lot my vision of type of people that actually do this. That is sort of very human type of KPI. To have these people emerge, that come there and give you some feedback that is interesting and heavy. Another thing that I also got from there was this this motto that was connected with us deeply, that is make friends not art, that I thought was quite interesting for a thing that was anyway organized as an art gathering and was paid by public money to be in museums and stuff. It looked really like a party, so it was quite interesting as a sort of design. Was there were some coincidences so that I wanted to bring on the table just briefly.
Yeah, that's a great idea. In Austria, there was also like something like circles, so like everybody would need to sign up for some kind of circles. There was like cleaning team, kitchen team, because there was like, we did everything for ourselves in this like self-autonomous fashion, right? I was on the note recording team, to gather the knowledge. But yeah, we also have this, one of the ideas in registration was this skills, my skills maturity, so now we kind of we know like who's great in strategy, who's great in content. So I think we could reuse that like for the circles and so on. And thanks for bringing this idea, and I love this make friends. I think in the end of it, the impact measurement, again, this is something to be defined together and everybody defines for themselves. But for my personal view, we will look at how many new connections or like potential partnerships or opportunities were created as one of the key ideas here. We can transit into, I hope it's not just me speaking, like let's explore what more ideas comes to you or like what catches your attention. I also saw, yeah, please, Alex.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I'm the megalodon, so I have to be rational. I'm transactional by background, and it's really hard for me sometimes. Just I struggle if whoever meets up are the right people and whatever we talk about is the right thing. If we want to execute a plan, I'm much more sort of, okay, what's the target? Where are we going? At least ballpark. And I'm struggling with understanding what. I mean, if for me, sort of executing a plan, we would reach some sort of agreement on what the common goal is, and then sort of deconstruct it from there. Is that envisioned that that's the process, or because we can? I guess I'm sort of always trying to find a way that makes a lot of sense for me to say, okay, I know why I'm doing something and I'm struggling. If there's a lot of processing that doesn't actually deliver anything, except I of course realize and accept that many people feel comfortable in that. I'm just struggling if are we going to sort of executing a plan, or are we talking about and problems and challenges and then hope that we will solve them, or what? How do you see that process in this space?
Yeah, thanks for bringing it up. And I've also recognized the value of megalodons recently, like initially, like we're so much used to this like impact crowd, and we can be too much in the clouds. I'm really valuing the perspective you bring here. And yeah, the whole idea is kind of, well, when we talked about with the scripto commands about the way we organize, it was like they mentioned either self-organization or chaos. I was initially curious, like why from me sometimes it was like self-organization or hierarchical structure, like, but they didn't even see this, like they don't see that it is viable, like, well, everybody of us is a leader here, and it's kind of like really it works, in some environments, but also for this new ideas we would like to bring, it feels that we need to establish some kind of dance feel, where like I make a step, you make a step, like, and we kind of we need to feel each other, and thus kind of see whether we're going in the right direction. So that's why I'm thinking about like establishing the clarity just on this iterative fashion. So when we have a question, we try to answer it right together, and that's maybe where I would like to open up the floor to our people here, and thinking together of what the specific outcomes, like how can we even be sure that we can bring some outcomes for at least the majority of the group together. Maybe you have some experience or ideas of how that might happen. Please, yeah.
Okay, I was waiting because I don't want to speak all the time because I'm a talker. I'm Italian, I talk a lot. I think I'm also keen into seeing things happening. I come from theater and performance, so there is always a moment in which a third force come in, that is your audience, and they don't know whatever you have tasted or tested or tried before. They want to see a show, whatever it is. It can also be, now we climb the mountain and that's the show, but it has to be something that you produce and that goes in a certain direction. So I have a lot of experience in creating a situation. So let's say a sort of conjuration of forces that I call a situation in which things tends to cluster because there is a pressure or a gradient of energy or a story that is good enough to cluster energies, and that you can call that theater, can call it unconference. Unconference is a very good one, in my opinion. So the attitude of us megalodons, I mean, in the sense that I'm also born in '69, so I tend to like to have things very structured, but it's no more a sort of in the mind you decide what has to happen and you give tasks, but it's more recognizing structures and certain type of clustering of intention and intent in a, let's say, more or less free, simple, especially simple situation. So your attitude to respond a bit to Axelax is just recognize the emerging structures, emerging thinking, and this goes, and I I stop here. This goes in the direction of things that are not problems, because many of the things we are busy with cannot be classified as problems, as solutions, or question and answers, but are other stuff. For example, are people displaced with troubles, or are possible friends, or are issues that transit in a space for a moment, or emerge in a space. This should simplify a bit your problem with. A certain point, you have to give it a shape that can be, very well connected with the form of the medium you put it into, and the people you clustered around it. And then you need to be precise, because the show has to happen. Don't know if it was clear, but.
I think
That was beautiful.
to me it was also quite clear. I mean, I can give you a great example. I don't know if it's a great example. I can give you from a transactional mindset. What I was struggling with is I spent time with DAOs, and there's a lot of regulation because the tokens, as you know, are sometimes securities and sometimes they're regulated assets. And how do you actually go about it? And if you don't, because you feel like, okay, well, I'm creating a nation state utopia, protopia, and I don't give a damn about regulatory issues in the US or Europe because I'm solving world peace in Tahiti. Okay, but still you have to have interoperability with the real world, because if you want to get people incentivized to do something that they don't around the common goods that they're trying to manage, you need to somehow also be able to exchange this incentive into something that people can use, because POAPs don't work in Tahiti. You need carrots or whatever, fish, something to eat. I don't know. Tahiti is probably not the right place, but some let's say remote area where we can make where a project can make a big difference for managing the commons. Now, then people go about and say, well, I don't want to deal with that. I just want to do it because I hate transactional thinking. Okay, and then you have the situation you had last week in the US where you get sued because you were apparently at that point in time a token holder who voted for some improvement proposal, and because you're unincorporated, you now get sued for the results of that action 2 years later, where you are no longer a token holder, but because you were a token holder that particular week. That's dangerous, yeah? So I want to figure out what is the safe environment for having the conversation. Even if we want to build Protopia, it has to live in the real world. And so in my mindset, these are sort of constraints that we put around it. And I realize, and I'm coming from a regulatory background, and I do accept the fact that regulators are stupid, and they are, and it's sort of like Conway's law. Whatever you design is because you only understand as much as you do, and I can see exactly 5 centimeters in front of my nose, and therefore whatever I design to rule everything else is exactly that. So there's a misrepresentation in the people that set the rules compared to the likes of the token engineering commons or trusted seed, because we're trying to do something which is out of the box. So one idea could be to actually start working a lot more with the regulators and embrace them as a necessary evil, and try and lobby and nudge them in the right direction. And that takes a lot of time. But if you don't, you're going to fail at some stage because you upset the existing system, and it doesn't like to be upset. So that's been part of my frustration in DeFi, is that why are people not, if we have the rails of the future economy, why are we not embracing the ignorant, stupid traditional mindsets and trying to nudge them over, because they're scared about this new thing and they don't understand it. So therefore, and we're challenging existing profit pools and power pools. Yeah, but we're very clever and we are actually self-motivated and we can make a difference. Why are we not doing that instead of trying to be blindfolded or operate in silos, that sort of thing? I mean, that's sort of the mind I have around this, and I don't know if it's even relevant. Sorry. Go ahead, Wendy.
Thanks, Haxelax. Look, I think you've hit on one of the key points for one of the key points that needs to be resolved inside DAOs that are trying to achieve, that are being led by stewards. This is one of the key discussions that needs to be had. And if you and I were having this discussion, and by the way, I'm from the same Megalodon era as you. And just getting to text. Maybe. What I'm thinking, though, is that this could be one of the rooms, which is my builders know better. And it's true. They do have a vision for a better world, and they actually have the capabilities to build it. But they don't have the capabilities to run it. Because to run it, you need users, regulators, governments, protections, lawyers to write contracts that protect the actual people who are coding. I'm not trying to be a jerk and, for instance, restrict what you're trying to do here. I'm trying to protect you from going to jail in some countries. And because anything we code is global, I'm trying to protect you from some countries that you need protection from. So you and I would have the discussion, and I'd say, you know what? In order to protect the culture, let's not even call them stupid regulators. Let's just call them the existing system. And we are here, indeed, in some respects, to replace the existing system. Some may say destroy, some may say blow up, some may say coexist. But I'm not going to go to the edges because it kind of defeats the purpose. We're here to improve, replace the existing system, and to make it go, we have to link to it. So let's not call them stupid, because that'll change our mindset about how we talk about them and how we build towards them and how we write to them, which won't help the education process that you just made reference to.
Yeah, sorry, I didn't mean they were stupid. I'm just saying I sometimes get the feeling that they feel
stupid.
But I think
exactly.
They just speak another language.
They speak another language, and they have, I'm going to have to excuse myself in 3 minutes to go see my mom. They still have the keys to the house. And then for us to gain adoption, and I'm happy for this to be controversial or annoying what I'm saying, they still have the keys to the house. In order for us to gain adoption, we are going to have to get a couple million folks from their side to play in the game with us. But if it's not safe, or it's so threatening, or it's so new that they can't imagine a way to connect with it, that's the perfect excuse for the establishment to say, well, it's so inconvenient, we're going to do things, whatever we can do to crush it. Which doesn't help everybody win anyway.
I mean, I'm having these conversations with actually some regulators about trying to build a new bidding and settlement system on a DLT, not blockchain, but DLT, because of the performance in blockchain is too low. But the point is, all the regulatory objectives are set because that technology, whenever they designed the regulation, needed to be designed that way because technology wasn't where it is today. So we spent a lot of time trying, okay, well, these policy objectives are really cool and great, and let's just keep them. But actually, the rationale behind this particular rule is obsolete because the technology does not allow counterparty risk because it's atomic trading and settlement. So there is no counterparty risk. So why do I need to be regulated in the first place? Because if somebody screws up, I have to hold somebody accountable, and they have to have money that I can go and chase them for, or put people in jail or whatever. But if you remove the problem, you don't need the regulation. And I think that's a much more fun and interesting conversation to basically design protopia environment.
But don't you wonder, and this is a point, like this is one of the things I'd love to drop in the Unconference, which is to get us to protopia, one of the milestones, and not to utopia, but we probably have some milestones and counterparties we do need to negotiate with. And when I'm doing something that's very Web 2 inside Doing Good, our little startup, coders need to know about that. And when coders are launching something into an existing Web 2 system, into an existing regulatory environment, into an existing, cross-jurisdiction thing, they need to know how the old days we used to call them customers and markets, how the customers and markets are going to respond to that. Because that may affect adoption too, may affect how doing good progresses. I think these, how do stewards navigate? If they're OG, how do they navigate? And if they're megalodons, how do they navigate bringing their realities together so that stuff can get done? And there's a joint commitment to action, not just we're all leaders, meaning we'll all do our own thing, but we're all leaders in this joint commitment to action. I'm learning from you how my work, my action affects your space, and we can do that for each other.
That sort of conversation makes sense to me.
That was small of the demo experience of like how ideally things should emerge. I'm super grateful for your leadership in this process. Just thinking about the timing, like in the end of the day, like in with Haxelax on this, like about some boundaries, and something. How like we spent a bit more than an hour, like in general we planned around that time, but maybe we like, is there maybe a last thing or some aspect that we would like to touch for sure before we finish up?
As I wrote in the chat, I'm really curious if we could make a round and hear even a sentence from everybody, because not everybody is used like us, the old ones, to chat a lot in these occasions. Would be nice to wrap it up by listening everyone, if it's a good idea.
That's a great point. So probably like this is a retrospective, like closing round, right? So everybody could say a few words in the finishing. I would be happy to kick it off and say big thank you for joining here, for your energy, for all of the ideas proposed. I really am like super feeling nice feelings about what's happening, and I'm super excited. Thank you. And yeah, passing to Wendy. And Wendy probably went to see her mother. So then maybe Ivy.
Yeah, just thank you everybody for being here. And I wanted to ask where future communication is kind of going to take place. Awesome. Yeah, excited to go through this, everybody. I'll pass this on to Kirich. If I pronounced that correctly. Kirich.
Okay, that's me. I'm Victor, so I didn't change my nickname. So actually, I enjoyed shutting up and keeping silence and listening to wise men and women. Thank you guys for that. I really looking forward practical steps. What will be next? What will be done? What will be the goal and output and results? And what commitment are expected from all of us or just some of us? So yeah, that's would be great to hear next time. Thank you. Yeah, and the pass to Fred, the Italian man.
I've already spoke a lot. I just have a little idea. Since I've seen many interested in podcasting, I have to say I had a very lovely time in the last 2 years running radio programs on a radio streaming server. The project was named Radio Antidoto, and it was mainly Italians, and everybody took 1 hour of slot, and the other would be listening, and could be radio, could be anything. And it went out as to be a very lovely platform to create podcasts with live programs. So just throw it down there. I still have access to the thing, and if somebody wants to know more, just contact me on Telegram and try stuff. Because podcast, of course, you listen to it afterwards. Radio program can be a way to produce a podcast live with live audience in a very free way, and then use it as a podcast. And being on his own server, you can play music that has copyright with nobody bitching. That's an advance. That's all.
Would you mind passing to somebody, please?
Sorry, to Robin Hood.
Yes. Hi. I dropped in a little bit late. My name is Robin. It was a pleasure just to listen in. And I'm just really eager and curious to explore everything that we can use our time to explore during this program. It's been a quite enjoyment just listening in to all your wisdom sharing. And I'm not sure what's gonna emerge out of this, but I just know that I will learn a lot, and that's enough for me. So I'm excited for the next months, and yeah, throw the ball over to Senryu.
Thank you. My name is Han, and I dropped in a bit late. I got an hour mistake, and not sure what it is. It's summertime or something. But I'm here just to learn what's going on. I'm very curious and like to know what's going on, and I'm especially interested in basic income kind of initiatives. So I hope to see some of that around in the coming months, and that's about it. I pass it to Maffer Cordovas.
Thank you. Well, I arrived a little bit late. Sorry for that. Internet problems, but yeah, I'm excited to see all of you working together for the Unconference. And I'm also excited to to talk more, just like an Italian man. I think we will engage a lot in terms of creating solutions and finding new ways to apply Web3 and public goods for a better future. So thank you everyone for coming. And I'll pass it to Mike Nicholson.
All right, thank you. I don't have much new to say. I agree with pretty much everyone. I really love this conversation. I'm looking forward to the next week. Learning and contributing and so on. And yeah, it was very enjoyable. I'll pass it to anything.
I think I heard my name.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay. Yes. Hey. Well, thank you everyone for joining. Actually, this was a great MA session. I really enjoyed the conversation. I'm glad you are here and you are supporting the activity. We expect to have so much fun the rest of for the coming months. So yeah, help us spread the word. That's something really important. So we can reach out to more people and we can create a very nice community around the program. And yeah, looking forward to interact with each of us, of you. I Let me see who is. I think we all go. Mike and Nathanson. I don't know if he can talks, but I think you are the last one, if I'm not wrong.
I remember Mike, right?
Yep.
Yeah, I just went. So, is anyone still not gone?
Yeah, it seems we're all gone.
All right.
But thanks so much, and yeah, let's follow up in the Telegram and the conversations. We will try to address all the issues and questions further on to simplify the journey. But again, this is our shared business, so let's be creative and yeah, have a great time of the day. Link to the Mia board, yeah, we'll send it here in the chat in a second. And yeah, cheers everybody. Talk to you soon.
Bye bye. Thank you, everyone.